Farfalletta, aspetta, aspetta, non volar con tanta fretta, far del mal non ti voglio, ferma paga il desir mio, vuoi baciarti e il cibo darti, da perigli preservati, di cristallo stanza avrai, e tranquillo ognora avrai.
Dennis, welcome to Musical Odyssey channel. There are many people that anticipate our talk with great interest because, as you know, we all sit in a lockdown situation, and I think it's also perhaps an opportunity to learn and differently. So I thought I'll start with asking you a little bit about your career. You were born in Wales and then studied in, I think, Manchester and then Rome. And then you, of course, went on to have a magnificent career as an opera singer, as a leader. What were the most important influences in your musical life?
Well, very early on, my father, I lived in a small town in South Wales, in the west, really, and he was a GP, and in the afternoon he would have a break between his surgeries, and he would always listen to Italian opera. And I used to sit with him if I was around, and I just loved it. I loved the classical music anyway. I knew, I was learning instruments and things. But that sort of music, that romantic period, really knocked me sideways, and I just fell in love with it. So, and I knew I wanted to be a musician. There was no question about it, even from a very young age. So I started on that as soon as I could, and well, one thing led to the other, and I became sort of semi-obsessed with technical advances because I had to do it because I didn't have that sort of voice that goes, wow, no way. It was too small. It was not projecting. I had no top, and I met the right people. That I think, when I met Professor Cox, Frederick Cox, who was the head of the Royal Manchester, I think, or the Royal Northern or something. No, Manchester, I think it was at the time. I had to queue, but I knew somebody who worked for him, and I finally got to see him. He was the most delightful man. And I sang a couple of arias without high notes, the usual ones, Dalla sua pace and Una furtiva lagrima, these things. Beautiful and difficult, but they do tell the listener that you haven't got a top. And he was very courteous, and he said, well done, it's been nice to hear you, and all that sort of thing. And I got to the door, and I thought, come on, Dennis, if you don't speak to this man now, you'll never get a chance again. And I turned and asked him, I said, I don't want to waste my life. Do you think I think it must have been about 20, 21, something like that. And he said, well, I think there's something there, but of course you can't sing. And I thought, I found the right guy. Wow. Well, he was, really a world expert and fantastic and very polite and encouraging. And he taught me slowly, but surely. And I just loved every minute of it.
And then it was Rome. So how different was studying in Rome to UK?
Well, I wasn't in Rome for very long. I think it must be a couple of months or something. I won a prize in London, and I was able to go to Italy to study. And I went first to Campo Galliani in Mantua, and he was an extraordinary character. And again, very, very, very clever. And he I believe, taught Pavarotti and Freni. So, his talent was accomplished and proven. And then I went on to Rome to study with a man called Ricci, who was Beniamino Gili's accompanist. That was a combination. He was also had been head of the opera house in Rome, the musical head of the opera house, and he was terrific. And his father had been Verdi's personal accompanist when he was doing one-to-one sessions with his cast. So, and this man, Ricci, used to turn the pages for his father. So when he told me, I'll give you a little story. I was learning the Duke of Mantua, and I was finding it pretty difficult. When I came to there's a cadenza at the end of the aria that opens Act 2. And people don't sing it as it's written, but I tried to. But then he went crazy. It ends, non video per. Okay. And he went crazy. And I said, why don't you sing the trill? I said, Maestro, calm down, calm down. There's no trill in my book. And then he started to laugh. He said, but there is a trill. And I said, with respect, Maestro, how do you know? And then he was waiting for that moment, you see, set it all up. And he said, because I remember turning the pages to my father, and Verdi himself went pretty crazy when the tenor didn't sing the trill. And then the tenor showed Verdi himself his score, and then Verdi went crazy about his friend Ricordi, the publisher, who had not put the trill in the score. Yeah. So when I came to sing it eventually, years later at Covent Garden, I sang the trill. And it went very well. And but one of the actually very good reviews said that, embellishing these things at the end of arias is completely unnecessary. So I wrote to him in friendly terms and said, actually, this is what actually he wrote, but I never heard back from him. No big surprise. But there you go.
In your career, you must have had worked with amazing artists. Can you remember maybe perhaps let's say 3 most wonderful moments or wonderful collaborations or occasions where that stayed with you for the rest of your life?
Oh, too many. It's so.
Let's say 3.
Okay, 3. I'll do my best. And all the ladies I omit will have to forgive me, okay? But I do remember, I miss very much Montserrat Caballé, who was very kind to me and gave me lots of concert work, with her. And every time we did that, I felt that I was in the presence of something superhuman. She was so funny and very gentle and really comical, and just got down to it and did it. She was superb singer, absolutely incredible, and so friendly and ordinary. So there were many times when I sang with her, and Keely did the same thing for me. She gave me a lot of opportunities, particularly in concert work and broadcasting and all that sort of thing. In the conducting world, I was particularly impressed by Zubin Mehta, who took a shine to me, I suppose, and gave me lots and lots in Verdi. And he was right, because that's where I belonged, really. And that was something, because, he said to me, should I follow you? I had asked him, what do you want me to do? He said, I don't mind. He said, I trust you. In brackets, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And he said, do what you feel. And, I will follow you. And I thought, my God, you don't hear that very often. And he said, I will. If I don't like it, I won't. And then you'll have to follow me.
Okay.
Now, how humble can you get? One of the top, easily the top 10 conductors in the world, being so humble and so kind. And he was amazing. I think he actually enjoyed, though. He was so good at it. He actually enjoyed saying, well, I don't know what he's going to do tonight, but I'll be with him. And it was kept him alive, It's a remarkable man, absolutely incredible. The other people, Alfredo Kraus influenced me a great deal. He was kind to me and helped me too. And a master singer, of course.
I've also read actually something that was in Wikipedia where it said that you had a TV shows. One was called Dennis O'Neill, and then another one, Dennis O'Neill and Friends. What was that about?
Well, the BBC had Stuart Burrows, another Welsh tenor, fantastic singer, had a series for many years actually, and that came to an end. And the producer of that approached me and he said, well, how would you like your own television series? And I said, well, are you crazy? And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he just called it Dennis Neal Sings, and we tried it out, and it was a big success. It was fun because we used to record 2 concerts every time we met, you know, in a different hall, and it started in this country, our country, in the United Kingdom, and then it went all over the place. And yeah, it was fun. I would invite another singer, or even maybe an instrumentalist for each show, and I would do series opera arias and then something lighter, you know, like Neapolitan Serenades was my favorite. And we made a record, and it went to #1 in, I think, 2 weeks, something like that.
I wish we had something similar now. I think if anything, people's music education, good music education from people like yourself is much needed, because I'm not sure the musical taste of the public are improving.
Well, I think you're right, but the problem is if they don't have it on their televisions and whatever, they will know nothing about it. I remember a period when this very, very modern approach to opera dramatically went, and particularly the productions became almost crazy sometimes, you know, and people stopped coming. And I remember having conversations with, well, I won't name them, but very important people who run these places. And I said, you know, can't you see what's going to happen? Because if the parents don't come, the children don't come. And even the matinees, when you could expect the little ones to come, you could see it. I mean, it was extraordinary. Well, now what do? We have a generation who are now in their 20s, if not older now, who have never been to the theatre, never possibly even listened to an opera recording of any kind. And how do we rope them in? And never mind about their children, which they're now having. It's sad, yeah. Because, you know, things like that didn't become so popular without having something integrity about, you know, some full of real meaning. But that's music. That's serious music, classical music. It's not dull. You and I know that because we've been doing it all our life. It's wonderful. It doesn't stop people listening to any other stuff that you want. That's okay. But not to have that in your life, I think you're right. It's impoverishing. You know, yeah, society.
I think people, it's very true what you said about music education, because I think people more attracted to names is almost like there is sort of celebrity culture rather than music culture. You know, they don't go for music, they go for names, which is different.
Completely different, absolutely. The number of people that I had the privilege of singing with, I mean, I was lucky. Right time, right place, who knows why, but I worked very hard, particularly on my musical standards and technical standards. But a number of people, despite the fact that I was lucky to sing with the obviously famous people that were outstandingly good, and I never saw again, was huge. And who knows why? Yeah, it's because, well, of course, you know, if you have Montserrat Caballé was a very good example, Kiri, many other people like that, on the bill, Pavarotti, these people, the house will be full. So there's an economic drive there, but you can overdo that. And most people would, yes, they would love to see Pavarotti live and all that sort of thing, but, you know, it's not the end of the world, as long as you have a good singer who's now this is a very important part of my belief, who does what the composer wrote.
Yes.
You know, no cheating. I started an academy, an International Academy of Voice, with the University of Wales, and because I thought, well, you know, frankly, I got very tired of traveling around. We would never 8 weeks a year at home, maybe maximum, and you know, it served its purpose, and I could see, well, you know, you can't go on forever. But I thought, well, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, what's really bothering me now is the deterioration in vocal standards, where the dramatic thing had gone too far in the sense, I mean, I didn't object to the changes, but the people were being cast who looked the part, and that's good if you do, But the person that looks the part and sings the heck out of it is very, very rare.
When you started your academy, and of course, I mean, you don't just do that, that's your main, but you're also visiting professor for academy and you give a lot of master classes. How easy or difficult was that transition from a performing artist to being a teacher?
Well, I started, when I visited an opera house or something, somebody would, usually a tenor, could say, look, could you help me with this? I'm having great time. Well, then free afternoon I would. But because I learned to sing, I can't underline that enough. I had to learn everything. Luckily, I was very well educated musically. My goodness, and I could play the piano reasonably well. These are very, very, very helpful things. And I taught myself to sight sing. That's important too. But so I was kind of intellectually, I was already part of that way of thinking. That's how I sang. I was very, very prepared, technically especially.
But you're so right. And when you had to learn it yourself, the ropes.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's amazing because some people, I mean, in my sphere as well, they're natural. There is certain technical skills, for example, that somebody's born with.
Yeah.
Because of I don't know, their particular hand shape or their motor skills or how they hear things. And I saw so many masterclasses where people like that actually can't teach. They cannot explain how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most important, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's right. If you, they're lucky, and I admire them. Envy. I used to envy them, absolutely. But you're never going to be the complete teacher, because you have to take the second seat, not the first one. The person sitting on the stool, in your case, or standing in front of me, I sit down if I want to. You have to stand and you have to play with your voice and convince me. But in exercise, it's the same. You have to know which exercises that person needs and how to approach them, as I said earlier, psychologically, so they're at ease and they're learning, really learning.
I think that makes you absolutely an ideal person, really, to study with. Because you have such an amazing knowledge from being on stage yourself, and yet you had to overcome difficulties of your own voice and train yourself, and so you can help others. It's anybody who studies with you is very, very lucky. So what do you think, what would your advice be to those young artists who are now stuck indoors and they don't know what's going to happen to them? I mean, how can they use their time productively? How can they use their time productively?
What they can do, I think, is to record, because that's an advantage we never had in my generation. Tape recorders were massive and belonged to people who were in television companies. You just had to try and remember. But I would certainly never sing a single exercise without recording it. So you start to teach yourself and say, why do I like that? Or why don't I like it? Is it the sound? Is it a technical thing? Is it a musical thing? Is it both? Is it a linguistic thing? And make sure that you understand it to the extent that you are not going to make any mistakes like that. And listen to your sound and be not cruel to yourself, but really tough and say, I have to do better than that.
We were very privileged to have you in Musical Odyssey last year, and I believe everything will get back to maybe new normal. We'll see. No one knows.
Yeah.
And you will be back with us.
Okay.
What was your impression? What did you think of it? Because it was your first time. I don't know if it was your first time in Greece or not. Was it?
No, I sang in Athens with the Royal Opera House, the Covent Garden. I did a couple of concerts there too, in Athens, yeah. But I'd never been there where you are, and my goodness, the first thing, it's just overwhelming. It's so beautiful. And in our world, we were lucky. I mean, I went everywhere. You name it, I've been there, absolutely, nearly everywhere. And there are lots of beautiful places in the world, but that lovely, lovely ancient town, actually, I read about, has a wonderful atmosphere, and the weather and the sunshine and the clean air, and it was quite something. And I've done many of those sort of schools, but you have something very special there because that, the environment, generally speaking, has an effect on people. So they would turn up, really early in the morning for singers, and with a smile on their faces, and they want to get down to work, and we all worked quite hard. I mean, no question about it. I swear to you, I'm telling you the truth. I really enjoyed it. It was a very, very special experience, and the youngsters that you discovered and all that were a lovely bunch. Some were better than others. Some were very, very young. Some were not so young. Wonderful, and we really had a good time.
And we will be delighted to have you back because it's been wonderful having you, and all the students loved working with you. And I think we just need to do it again, Dennis, and we will.
I can't wait. It's fantastic.
Your sweet voice is calling me softly again and again. Makusla, I hear it repeating, my Makusla, I hear it in vain.